Day. Can't complain about it at all. Hope that you're doing well. We're going to kick back and relax and have this conversation today. Jim Crow, Agenda 25, and Freemasonry. Yeah, that's going to be the topic of the day. And I know a lot of times most people don't like to have that conversation. Yeah, you don't want that conversation, do you? So look, I'm going to have a seat right here today, and we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about Agenda 25, Jim Crow, and Freemasonry. Greetings. And I know this topic to some of you guys are going to be like, it's kind of taboo. To some of you guys, you're thinking this topic is taboo. This topic is not taboo at all. Once again, we're going to touch on Agenda 25. We're going to touch on Jim Crow. And we're going to also touch on Freemasonry and how all of that comes together. We're going to really hit it because I think a lot of times you who are Freemasons, you tend to forget. You don't read your history as far as how diverse Freemasonry is and how did you get to this point. You don't do that. You don't do that. What you do is you discuss history, but you don't understand history. That's from my point of view, from just watching and listening and paying attention to some of the things I've seen. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. First of all, we're gonna talk about Jim Crow. Let's get into Jim Crow. And I'm old enough to have been alive and to have been in a place to where I seen black only water fountains, white only water fountain, black restroom, white restroom. I grew up in a time to where the majority of my school was 99.9% African American, and only 2 white people went to my high school. I remember playing with a young white girl in middle school, and her parents saying, "Who's that nigger?" I can remember that. I can remember a time to where when they integrated the high schools, white folks built academies. They built academies. They didn't want your kids or me at the time going to school with their kids. They didn't want it, So I'm old enough to remember that. I'm old enough to remember going into a restroom and was told, you're not to be in this restroom. I'm old enough to remember that. I'm old enough to remember there were certain stores that I couldn't go into. I'm old enough to remember the time my grandmother was working and I went to see her at her job, my grandmother. She said, "No, baby, you can't come through the front door. You got to go out back." And I had to sit down. She fixed me a hamburger, gave me a soda. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And that store is still in existence today. It has been turned into quite a few different other businesses. But I remember that. And some of you are so ignorant and privileged until you don't recall that because you haven't experienced that. And that's okay. You haven't experienced that because those who came before you fought a fight for injustice so you wouldn't have to experience it. But because of your lack of knowledge in who you are, you have passed that on. And now for those who are following behind you, they don't understand the struggle. They can't see the vision because they haven't been taught the vision, nor have they experienced the struggle. But baby, as they would say back home in Mississippi, baby, some of us are in for a rude awakening. Some of us are in for the fight of your life. Some of us are in for the fight of our lives. And I mean that because in reading Agenda 25, there are some things I saw in there. I'm like, yeah. I know some of you saying, well, they should get rid of the Department of Education. Some of you agree to that. I ain't mad either way. Some of you agree with some of the things that may be in Agenda 25, and that's your prerogative. But the overall picture of Agenda 25, It ain't gonna be nice for black folks. I'm gonna say this again. It ain't gonna be nice for black folks. So you might as well buckle up and draw the line in the sand, because some of you are not going to like it. What's going to happen? If this Agenda 25 gets passed, if it gets one iota, it's a wrap. You might as well get ready for it. Don't be crying. You might as well get ready for it. However you want to get ready, you might as well buckle up for the ride. And I thank God I had the opportunity to grow up during the time I grew up to understand what's about to take place. That is a serious statement. I'm not afraid to go hunt for my own food. I'm not afraid to eat some unsavory things. I've had possum, coon, squirrel, duck. I'm that guy. I'm not afraid. I've slaughtered hogs before. I know how to clean them. No, I might live in the city, but the country still resides in me. And some of you are in for a rude awakening. Let me see. He says, I am a political science major, and I'm going to tell you right now, Agenda 25 is your concern. You should have been concerned back in 2016 when they had the Agenda 2016. Well, even when Reagan came into office, there was an agenda. And for those of us who lived on the Reagan economics or Reaganomics, we felt it. Oh yeah, if you was black and you came through on Reaganomics, you felt it. But now, baby, they didn't turn the heat up. It's just like sitting a frog in water. It's just like sitting a frog in water, and the frog is cool when the water is cool. But as the water gets warmer, the frog doesn't realize that he's beginning to boil. And that's the same mentality that some of us have gotten, because we've been too busy debating small things and forgetting the big things that are taking place right before our very eyes. Some of us will say, well, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to participate. Well, baby, I'll tell you this, for something that you're not going to participate in, they're trying awfully hard to tell you no anyway. They're trying awfully hard to take that right away from you anyway. If it was not such a great right to have in voting, why would they try to take it away? You got to ask yourself these questions. You have to participate locally and nationally, but start locally first. Make the change locally first. I'm just saying, I have participated in the political process for a very long time. I ran for city council. I've seen some things, and it makes you shake your head. Nobody leaves unscathed or undirty when they get into politics. No one leaves unscathed or not dirty. You're going to get scathed and scraped up, and you're going to be dirty when you leave. It's just how dirty you are and how scathed and scraped up you are when you step out of office. But I'll tell you something. In getting and reading the Agenda 25, I'm nervous. I ain't even lie to you. I'm nervous because it's going to put you in a place. It's going to put you in your place, and you're going to be real upset. Oh, you're going to be real upset, but you can't be upset with nobody but yourself, because you didn't take the time to educate yourself or read. You was too busy watching the hip hop awards and the American Music Awards. You was too busy doing all of that without really paying attention. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is what's happening. Like George said, if you don't vote, then shut up, shut your mouth. But that's the thing we got to realize. We have to get out and participate, and let your voice be heard. Run for office. If you don't like the way something is, you run for office. It ain't complicated at all. It's not complicated, And as I sit and I watch and I pay attention to what's happening around me, I'm nervous. I ain't even lie. I'm nervous for those who are living in the South, especially those, because right now they're putting the clamps on you and you don't even realize it. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, those, Florida, oh my God. Man, to see what they're doing to them there, imagine what they're going to be doing to other states. Imagine that. Yeah, imagine being told that you got to go back to the back of the bus. Imagine that. Imagine being told that you can't come here, boy. Imagine that. And let's be honest. There are still places right here, right now, that you who are African Americans, you can't even go. And you still listening to what's her name, Sister Red, whatever the girl name, Red somebody, and Megan Stallion and all. You still listening to them, but there are places right here that you can't even go. There's still certain sundown towns that you can't even walk in, but you still off in Yaya land, man. Come on, people, we got to get it together. We got to get it together. That's all I'm saying. I read because I want to know some things, and I study because I want to be able to pass this down to my grandkids and my kids. I want to be able to tell them about how their ancestors were treated and how they're still being treated, but you don't know because you haven't told them. So the message get lost. And then those who come behind you don't know because you didn't tell them. You didn't tell them how your ancestors were treated. So they don't know. They think it's always been this way. And some of our kids who are growing up right now, the first president to them was Obama, 8 years in office. 8 years in office. So that was their first president. But they got to understand there were some laws in effect and are still on the books that prevent you from moving about freely as you may think that you're free to move, and you're not. Because they're trying to take away that process. I mean, they're literally trying to take away the process. And you out here playing around to my watching some music awards and doing the latest guru dance. I'm trying to make it to where, you know what, when I get ready to move, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna be able to move and go to a place of solace to where I'm like, okay, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be rough for some of us. In Freemasonry, you may be wondering, how does Freemasonry play a part in this? And it does. This is where, for those of you who like to go to that 3-letter, 4-letter, and all this sort of stuff, you're going to have to set that shit aside. You're going to have to put that aside. You're going to have to use your resources in order to make some things happen. For those of you who are true to the craft, for those of you who understand how the craft is supposed to work, you're going to have to set some things aside in order to see the craft at its true ability to move about in secrecy. Are you ready for that? I mean, I'm just saying, I know some of you are like, come on, bro, you tripping. I ain't tripping. I'm just trying to lay something down on you. I just want you to understand there's an agenda at play. There's some things that are being removed from you that you are not paying attention to. That's all. And there are some of our brothers and sisters in the craft who are in their 80s, 70s, and they have personally experienced it. They have personally experienced it. I know I've had some brothers talk about, you know what, Prince Hall did this, and Ancient Free did this, International did that. That's all good and well. But there's gonna come a time when that is not gonna even be in play. That's not going to even be in play. And I just wish some of us would be able to take the contents and begin to apply that and how it should actually work. And that's the truth. You're going to have to make this thing really work. But, you know, that's my conversation for today, baby. It's about to get hot in here. And I don't know how many of you understand that. I hope you're able to view that whole Agenda 25. Somebody said Agenda 16 that was taking place. I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening, and some of us don't understand it, and some of us do. I can't say that we all, but I can look and see that a lot of us are missing out. Let me tell you, rich people are concerned about rich people matters. I'm gonna say this again. Rich people are concerned about rich people matter. Millionaires and billionaires, they're concerned about billionaires and millionaires ideas and what matters and how they can get their breaks and things like that. Poor folks, middle class folks, we're worried about how we're gonna get these bill paid. That's what we're worried about. We're worried about how can we get these bill paid? Where's that next check coming from? How can we make it happen? That's what we're looking at, you know. And so it's time for you to really take a stand and say, look, enough is enough. Anytime you're going to get ready now to elect a president who has a felony, and some of you can't even get a job because you got a felony, and you can't vote when you have a felony, but you're going to elect a president who has a felony? who's been convicted. I don't care if it's a big felony or a small felony. I don't care. But this is the mentality. And some of us are on board. So they're going to sell you some gold boots and tell you that, yeah, I'm with you. They're going to sell you some gold boots, but I'm with you. Not only that, I've been to jail, so I understand. What? You understand black folks because you've been to jail? Come on now. They playing on your emotion and your ability not to be intelligent. They're playing on all of that. I'm just saying that you have to be able to apply some of the things that have been taught to you and understanding what's before you. That's all I'm saying. However you want to do your vote, however you want to rock and roll with that, that's up to you. But I'm watching this whole thing play out. I'm old enough to remember some things that was unpleasant to the African American community. And I don't know about you, but if you're in your 20s and your 30s, you ain't gonna have that memory. You ain't gonna have it. But if you're in your late 50s, your 60s and 70s, oh, it runs deep, baby. It runs deep. You know, and just because you think you have a right. Yeah, try using that right. Try using it. You can see it happening right now before your very eyes. See how you're being treated right now before your very eyes. And you can tell how you're going to be treated later on. That's a fact. It's just what it is. Take a small picture of how they're treating you right now, how they're pulling you out the car, how they're misusing you, mishandling you. You think you ain't seen nothing yet. You let this Agenda 25 get implemented. Everything that they got on there, they've already said they're bringing back the Bible into school. You know what? So they're saying there's no separation between church and state. Yeah, I can see it now. Some of y'all gonna be praying to God. I don't know which God, but some of y'all gonna be putting up some prayers because it's crazy. The Wizard of Oz. What's going on? Greetings to you. Nah, man, I'm sitting here and I'm old enough to remember the Jim Crow laws and segregation. I'm old enough to remember there are places I couldn't go as a kid and play. When I grew up, they had black people parks and white people parks. Their parks was a lot better than ours. Well kept, well groomed. I remember that. And it's not long ago. Okay. I remember the schools that I went to. I had nothing but black teachers, which were great for me. You know, however, but when the money part was the academy, you know, because when they integrated school, white folks built their own school, calling them academies, and you couldn't go. You was not welcome to go. So I'm looking at this whole thing, and it seems like we're headed back in that direction. And some of our young folks are not going to be able to stand it. They're not going to be able to make it. Some of our young folks are just going to crash because they ain't going to know what to do. And this is what I'm watching in play right now because, you know, of the, it seems like of the ignorance that have come along and it really put us in some funk or another. That's what it looks like. That's truly what it looks like, you know? And so I sit by and I watch it for what it is. I watch it for what it is. And it's crazy. It is truly crazy. They have been propagated to crash artists. Yep, the same. Once they already praying to unknowingly, but watch it. Yeah, man, it's crazy. And as I was saying in regards to Freemasonry, and those of us who've been in the craft for a long time, that ideology that you have in regarding the 3-letter, 4-letter, international, all that, you're going to cancel that. You're going to cancel that. Yeah, you're going to cancel that. You know why you're going to cancel that? Because you're going to be in the same boat they in. The same boat International is in, Prince Hall going to be in. The same boat Prince Hall is in, PHO going to be in. The same boat they're in, international, modern free, ancient free. We're going to all be in the same damn boat. So you're going to have to set that shit aside. Because what they got planned for African Americans and man, this thing ain't nothing to play with. I just hope that take heed to the message. What's going on, girl? Hello to you, my queen. What's up? What's up? Give my greetings to your husband. Yeah. So, but what they got planned for us is you gonna be, yeah, some of us gonna be in some bad shape. You think you're in bad shape now? Let some of these things that are in that Agenda 25 get passed. Just watch what's happening right now before your very eyes. And that's gonna be the ooh-wee moment. That's gonna be the ooh-wee. That's when you're gonna be like, oh, I should have voted. Oh, I should have participated. Oh, I should. What you should have done. It's gonna be too late. It's gonna be too late. Democrat or Republicans. And I know some of us, well, I ain't voting Democrat. They ain't never did nothing for me. Well, I'm watching the Republicans and they ain't never did nothing for me either. But I'd rather ride with those I can work with than those who I can't. I'm just being honest. I'd rather go with somebody I can deal with you more so I can with him. Because when people got real power over you, they're going to use that power. When people got power over you, they're going to use it. You have no say-so in it. So when the police go to pulling you out of the car and you tell me I'm going to take you to court and sue you with the way things are now, nah. You know, it was hard enough coming up in the 60s, probably the early 70s. And you talking about the 50s. Shit. I know I got a brother who grew up in the 50s. And I have a sister who grew up in the 50s. And I can imagine what they're thinking right now. I can imagine they're like, oh shit, not again. Yeah, again. Again, that's because we wasn't paying attention. I don't know, not involved. When you're not involved, then this is the shit that takes place. This is what takes place when you're not involved. And as crazy as it is, it may help us to be stronger. That's real talk. It may help us to be stronger. So look, that's my spiel for the day. Take heed to the message. That's my girl. Y'all check her out on the mornings about 8 o'clock. Go check her out. She be spitting them words out. She comes from a whole nother level. And so I hope that each of you enjoy your day. Whatever you do, stay at the bushes and keep that light on. I'm telling you, keep that light on, man. Knowledge is power. Peace and be well until we speak again. I'm out.